What did they have to say about sugar this time? Hello, everybody. This is Ryan over at High Carb Generator. Welcome to my channel. So I was on my rebounder. As you can see, I'm kind of like sweaty and flushed. I was done with my workout, and there was this video that popped up. I got it over here. It's called The Scary New Research on Sugar. What do these people possibly have to say about sugar? I find it very interesting. All right, so I wanted to interlude myself here because this glucose goddess that we're about to watch in a couple minutes does actually have some good information. But she went to school for a very long time, like 2,000 years, and still missing a lot of information that I found, and you'll see at the end of this video, in very short amount of time. And I'll include the links if you really need your studies. I say be your own study, but if you really need this kind of stuff, I'll include that at the end of the or in the description section down below. Go read this stuff yourself. But I do have to admit that I was partially wrong. I'm about to go into a rant in a couple seconds here. I really like the rant. It has some good information, and I think people like my rant. So I'm just going to leave it in, even though it's somewhat prejudging the video that I haven't seen yet. So bear that in mind, so I don't make as much of an ass of myself. But yeah, there's so much missing from what this goddess lady or whatever self named has to say, and it's so irritating to me how simple this can really be, but everything is made overcomplicated, and how much of people saying that sugar is cookies, but cookies has a lot more into it than just sugar. So if you're gonna downplay sugar, just like actually use sugar, like just sugar, not sugar mixed with a bunch of fat and oil and butter and everything, just sugar. Because there's a huge difference. I guarantee it's negative because it's got a lot of views. You know, there's a lot of money being pushed into anti-sugar stuff. And it's weird to me because Walter Kempner already proved years ago. I mean, there's actually a lot of doctors, Pritikin, Walter Kempner. There's been a couple actually that have proved that sugar actually cures diabetes, it cures obesity, it cures everything. It lowers cortisol. There's Georgie, there's all this research out there, right? There was the research that rats who had Coca-Cola or Pepsi at night doubled their testosterone. I myself did the experiment to myself last year. I ate a pound of sugar a day, whether that was from sugar or from candy, like one of the studies. And I myself doubled my my testosterone in like a couple months, right? So it's crazy how there's all this research out there, and actually my energy was better, my sleep was better, and everything like that, but my gut did start taking start having a hard time with it, so I had to back off. But I felt really good about it, and actually one of those videos that I made last year, kind of at the end of my pound of sugar a day, somebody that I'm friends with actually commented on one of my videos. It's like, damn, I can't wait to see what you're going to be like next year, like at this time, because of how much weight was coming off, right? And then you got these people talking about how bad sugar is, and why are they doing it? It's kind of funny. I don't know. It's almost like they're trying to get people sick or something. I don't know. I really don't know. So anyway, I'm going to hop into the computer. Now, this video is like an hour and 35 minutes. I am not watching that, but I want to get kind of a feel of what they're saying. I want to give everybody else kind of feel. I'll hopefully remember to tag the video down below so you can go watch it. All right, here we are. Here we are in the computer. Let's see how this goes, what they're going to talk about, how they're going to do it. Get started.
I'm going to be completely honest with you here. It's important.
Nothing says I'm about to lie to you and smile like telling you I'm about to be honest.
I thought the subject matter of glucose was boring until I read your book. And then I was like, oh my God.
Jessie Inchospay,
the glucose goddess,
is a biochemist, an author,
teaching us the best hacks to eat right
without giving up
Maybe they are into sugar. Let's see.
the foods that we love.
Glucose is your body's favorite source of energy. Your brain cells are using glucose to think, speak, move. So when you flood your body with too much glucose too quickly, what happens is what I call a glucose spike. The more spikes you have, the faster you die.
What world
In your book, you talk about these 10 hacks.
Yeah.
Eat food in the right order.
Yeah.
After you eat, move. Drink vinegar before you eat.
What?
Yeah.
You're such a weirdo.
Learn the glucose hacks and then just eat everything you love. Like, that's the thing you have to understand.
Why do you care about this stuff?
Well, I went through my own sort of health journey.
Oh, you know what? I didn't even think about this. This might get copyrighted because they can't seem to show just video. They got to have all this like B-roll.
It was awful. And I was like, I need to figure out how to fix myself. Like, I need to understand what's going on because otherwise I just
This is
don't want
not
to live anymore.
tugging at my
It was really
heartstrings.
to that
Get to the
point. I was like, either I figure out how to fix this or this is just too painful of an existence. For me is people who have type 2 diabetes.
You're not grabbing me in with that.
And
Sorry.
a lot of people
I normally
who
would
have
have
type
just
2
clicked off.
diabetes are eating in a way that's making it worse, but they think they're eating in a way that's good for them. And that breaks my heart into pieces. You know, I want to give people the power back. I want to give people the information back because the landscape we live in, you know, the marketing messages about food, all the confusing packaging, the confusing advice, the fads, that's really destructive. And so I want to help people like clean all that up.
And the personal reason?
Well, I went through my own sort of health journey that got me to a point where I realized that health is the most important thing in the world.
I agree there. Yeah, I've had family members who have oodles and oodles and oodles and oodles of money, and they don't have their health, you know. And it's just, what are you going to do? And they don't almost want to have their health because they won't do anything about it.
And if you don't have that, you really don't have much. And I mean, we can go into some detail into this since I guess we
Let's
have
go.
some time. And I don't usually go into detail about this topic. I've sort of learned to, you know, brush over it and just give the short version.
I'm not interested in the short version.
I'd rather have like the abbreviated of the short version. Okay,
You wrote a book called
I'm glad they times
Glucose Revolution, The Life-Changing Power of Balancing Your Blood Sugar. Wrote that book last year. Why did you write a book about glucose? Of all the things in health and food you could have written about.
So that I could feel better. So that in the morning I could wake up not terrified of being alive. That was the bar, you know? The bar was
Gotta just drink more coffee, man.
quite low. And even though DNA and studying it was interesting, it actually, your DNA doesn't give you a lot of information about what you need to do to feel good. Your DNA can tell you, you know, where you're from, what your traits are, maybe if you have an increased risk of a disease in the future, but your DNA doesn't tell you exactly what you need to do. And when I was there, something incredible happened. I discovered the world of glucose. And now I'm talking about this, you know, on a daily basis and writing.
I mean, I didn't have to go to school for 10 years to learn about glucose. It's surprising to me how hard people make it.
Books about it. I discovered that my mental health got worse when my glucose, also known as blood sugar, was not healthy, steady, and balanced.
Like normally I don't check out this video. Like, just get to the point.
I was able to see one of the spikes in blood.
This isn't even a hate thing. Like, I'm one of them people. Like, I won't read novels because, like Stephen King, for example, he'll take 10 pages to describe somebody opening up a door, and it's like, just like you could have just said somebody opened this door and maybe what it looked like. I mean, why do we got to go through all this?
Blood sugar actually triggering the episode. I was like,
Maybe that's just me. It could be just me. I am an odd bird.
whoa, I'm finally understanding a clue how I'm eating and how that affects my glucose levels.
She sounds like she's from either the Netherlands, somewhere in that region. And they did a lot of studies on potatoes back in the day. I wonder if she ever found any of that stuff, you know, especially during the war.
Is then in
World War
turn
I.
affecting how I'm feeling and my mental health. And for me, that was like the jumping off point. I was like, whoa, this is,
They call you the glucose goddess.
I call myself the glucose goddess.
Oof. Rough.
Oh, they call you the glucose goddess.
Yes, exactly. I wanted to find a catchy name after 2 years.
That the causation between a spike in your glucose and mental health implications. But okay, what else? Why else does glucose matter?
Yeah, it's a very good question because not.
I think there's just too much information out there. I mean, people sticking themselves, people doing this, people doing that. Or if you go to the China study where it was like 90% rice diet with vegetables added in. If you go back to ancient Egypt, the royalty ate like royalty, right? And when they got cancer, when they got heart disease, when they got all other kinds of ailments, which I've actually talked about and Pritikin talked about, and I've shown that video, when they had this happen to them, they would actually go on the peasant diet, which was starch-based, and they would cure all of these diseases. So how did past humans, which our DNA has not changed this amount of time, it doesn't happen that fast. They all benefited from starch, fruit, of vegetables, and maybe a little bit of meat. And I'm not advocating for that. I don't really think we need it. How were they all healthy? How was, when they went to do this China study, they couldn't find hardly any disease whatsoever?
Okay, glucose is affecting how I'm feeling. Let me see in the scientific papers, what else does glucose matter for? And I went into
Why do we got to study science? I mean, she's studying herself. Just keep studying yourself. I don't know.
Massive deep dive into all of the scientific studies about glucose that I could find. I had 1,000 tabs open on my computer browser. I just went really, really, really deep. And I discovered some amazing things. So first, I discovered that I was not alone. That most people who don't have diabetes still experience
diabetes,
these blood sugar spikes, potentially on a daily basis without knowing it. And that's
generally what happens when you eat. I mean, that's kind of normal for your pancreas to, it's not always, I don't know.
It's a really good piece of information because for years we thought only if you have diabetes should your glucose levels be of any concern to you. It was kind of either you have diabetes and need to learn how to manage glucose, or you don't have diabetes and don't even worry about it. Now we know that everybody can be suffering from these spikes without knowing it. So that was a huge revelation for me. And that study was very recent. I think it was from 2018. So
the human body has not changed.
When I discovered it, 4 years ago.
If it was 30 years ago, what's relevant?
It had just come out. So I was like, whoa, stuff is changing on this topic. We're realizing the importance of it for everybody.
So we're not supposed to crave what fuels us? I guess that's what she's saying.
Sweets around my house that I used to have. It's gone now, but...
And what is the definition of sweets here?
None of us are perfect, Jesse.
I'm not perfect either.
When you say cravings, are you...
Oh, damn. He just verbally bitch slapped his dick.
Does that kind of explain why when I have one cookie, I don't have cookies these days, I'm a changed man. But say I were to have one cookie, why I then want another cookie?
Yes.
Because your body likes sugar. It runs off.
Does that sugar craving, how long does that last?
What are we defining as sugar here?
How do I get...
I mean, if we're always going to be talking about studies, what is sugar to these people?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I've wondered if it was a couple of days, if I've not had sugar for 3 days, then I don't have the cravings anymore. Or is it shorter than that?
Well, listen, from the studies, we know a few things. We know that one, if you have a cookie, so cookies contain, sugar and starches. And sugar and starches are what increase your glucose levels.
No, it contains fat. I would venture to guess most cookies are at least 40% calories from fat.
In your blood. So when you have a cookie, up glucose spike, okay? Increase in concentration, and then a glucose drop after the spike.
Why are we ignoring the fat aspect of this? Or even protein for that matter?
Controls that part of your psyche. Your brain is telling you to go find something else that is sweet. Oh, I feel guilty. I feel ashamed. I have no willpower. I'm so weak. I'm no. It's not your fault. It's absolutely not your fault.
You ate it.
Craving you're experiencing now might have been caused Usually by breakfast, by the way, by the breakfast that you had or the thing you ate a couple hours ago. Most of us are on this glucose roller coaster and have keto diet cravings multiple times a day.
I knew it wasn't my fault.
It's not your fault, babe. It releases a molecule called dopamine in our brain. And
So does sex. And I think people crave that.
dopamine is a pleasure molecule. It's the
So does breathing. And you know, if you really think about it, like to some extent, I mean, even urinating has some dopamine effect. I mean, this is
humans love dopamine. And so when you eat sugar or something sweet, it's a really easy way to get a hit. And dopamine is addictive. So you have
but people get the same thing from fatty foods, you know.
those two things happening.
Here's my issue. Here is my issue is we use cookies or donuts or pastries as our example. But there is a lot of fat in that, and that is going to cause a spike. It's going to, because of the Randall cycle.
Some people will hear that and go, it sounds like my body is sabotaging me. Do you see what I mean? It's because that's kind of how
Absolutely. And that breaks my heart.
It sounds like a lot of victim mentality.
Body just wants you to stay alive. Those cravings, the acne, the, irregular energy levels.
Acne comes, if you drop oil and protein out of your diet, obviously you can't drop protein completely, but if you drop oil, the acne is going to go away.
All these hormonal issues, whatever, those are actually...
I doubled my testosterone. There's a video of it last year with just straight sugar. And if you look at all natural foods, they contain all the macronutrients, but very small amounts of fat and very small amounts of protein. Why is that?
Trying to alert you with all of these symptoms. So instead of blaming our body or feeling like, ugh.
I think it was less than 1% diabetes. There was almost no obesity whatsoever in people who couldn't afford meat. How can you go to Africa or how can you go to South America and these people who are living off corn, rice, potatoes, they don't have any of these diseases. They don't have any obesity issues. They don't have any sleep issues. They certainly don't have any issues populating. Look at the Asian culture. There's China and Japan, for example, has 120, 130 million people living on it. And they're Japan, if you combine the island, supposedly is the size of California, who only has 32 million people in it. So so obviously if your diet is good, you're going to have high fertility. And if you have high fertility, you're going to populate more.
Bad body for doing this and that. If you shift it a little bit, you're like, okay, let me balance my glucose levels and learn how to do this in an easy way. And then as you balance them, you see that all these symptoms go away. And you feel like, oh, I'm a friend with my body now. I'm taking care of it.
And maybe she talks about this. I have no idea, but this is 24 minutes in.
Care of me. And that was a big realization for me in my health journey. Because when I was having those mental health issues, I felt exactly like that. I was like, why is this happening? What did I do?
Am I right in thinking that my body is not built or designed for the world that it currently lives in? And that's part of the battle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I'll agree with that. 100%. We're not. And because we are we're not built for this constant on the go, like me today. This day, my day today is ridiculous. Going to be a 12-hour day. And we're not really built for that, So 100%.
Absolutely. Because just if you look at, for example, glucose levels, right? The way nature intended us to consume glucose was in plants, right? And when we consume...
she may talk about all this stuff, and maybe I'm just being a dick, but I guess it triggers me a little bit when people refer to sugar as cookies, because it really isn't. If you're at a grocery store, if you got a thing of cookies in your house, look at the calorie breakdown. It's always at least 25% fat. They're, if they're keto cookies, which I've been seeing now, it's a whole lot more than that. And that really causes the spike.
Something sweet. Pieces of fruit back in the day when nature created them, they were much smaller, much less sweet. They had way more seeds and fiber in them.
Yes, 100%. But there's no way they were less sweet. If you, I've had heirloom apples before. Those things are so sweet, it's not even funny. I mean, it's just like 3 or 4. I can't even have like 4 of those things. Like regular nowadays fruit. I mean, the stuff it just not tastes like shit.
Have been breeding plants and fruit to be
To ship well. If you've ever had like really sweet apples, most of the time they're extremely fragile and they don't ship well.
extra sweet, extra juicy. So the bananas and the oranges you see today
The bananas are completely hybridized.
are not natural at all. They're the result of millennia of breeding. A little bit like how we took that is 100% causing all these glucose spikes. And my philosophy today is not get rid of sugar, don't eat sugar anymore.
She's completely missing the point here. She's missing the boat. The boat is at the dock. It's pulled off. It's moving from the dock. She still could probably get on, but she hasn't. She's missed the boat. She fell into the water and completely missed the fact that high fat in food and high protein in food is causing this issue with this glucose spikes that she's talking about.
more like, okay, sugar is
How do you study for 10? How do you do this? Like she studied for 10 years or whatever and went to some Georgetown thing. And like, how do you miss all of this?
And by the way, it's not really a drug. It's like something your body makes.
Okay,
but then you
chemical.
can also take it as a drug if you have diabetes, for example.
So this chemical insulin, it stores the glucose in my fat, in my muscles, in my liver.
Yeah.
How does that have an impact then on weight gain and weight loss? So if I've just had a glucose spike, insulin's been deployed.
Yeah.
She's doing her work.
You can't actually lose fat when you've got insulin in your system. Sugar mixed with fat, and the fat coats the receptor sites on your cells, and your body can't get the carb or the glucose into your cells. It pumps out more insulin. She is not so far not talked about any of that.
Levels to be annoying. Your body is not against you. Your body is just trying to keep.
Okay. I think I'm going to link this down below. I'm going to, I have to leave now. So I'm going to film another little bit of stuff. I'm going to put that after this, and then I'm going to conclude with the video here. So I wanted to come to this highdoot.me and I'm not going to read these studies largely because I can't see them on the screen that I'm looking at right now. And I'm going to link these down below. So go check them out. Hopefully a new crew of people is actually seeing this video just so you get some information out there. But eating 1 pound of sugar daily has strikingly positive effects on male fertility. It goes on. I've talked about this in some of my videos before. It does go on to basically tell you that these people ate a pound of sugar a day. I think it was mostly in sweet, just hard candies or something like that. And their fertility went up. So I'm going to go to the next one. Cortisol causes fatty liver and as well as obesity, diabetes, etc. And then if we go to, so cortisol causes fatty liver, right? And they say that sugar is the one that causes fatty liver. But then if we go to this, all right, here we go. Sugar, sucrose, lowers stress-induced cortisol, right? So if sugar lowers your cortisol, it's not also going to give you a fatty liver. So here we go. Cortisol, high cortisol causes fatty liver, as well as obesity, diabetes, etc. All right. And then sugar, sucrose, these are all studies. I'm going to link all these things down below. I'll see if there's a way for me to specify which one's which. Cortisol stress directly causes depression. So this woman was talking about being depressed, having weird moods and all that. Well, sugar actually lowers that. So her talking about these sugar spikes or insulin spikes is curious because is she eating a lot of fat with the glucose? Could be. And then I just thought this was interesting. Higher metabolic rate not from exercise makes higher metabolic rate not exercise makes people naturally slim. And I wanted to talk about that in another video, but I just thought that this was interesting. And then this is the one that I was referencing in the video so far. Drinking Pepsi, Coke freely is androgenic for males, enlarges testicles, ups testosterone. Okay, now I did this myself. I didn't drink Coke or Pepsi because I don't really like caffeine all that much. So I did the pound of sugar and it doubled in a couple months. Stress cortisol as the driver of hyperglycemia in type 2 diabetes. So there again, she's talking about these insulin spikes, but cortisol is actually the reason for the hypoglycemia, not these insulin spikes. So if you have sugar, it lowers the cortisol and you don't have type 2 diabetes. I'll be right back. I'm going to go look. You know what? I'm not even going to. I've done so many videos about this. Walter Kempner literally used white rice, fruit juice, and sugar to cure type 2 diabetes in thousands of people. It was called the rice diet. It was at Duke University. It's basically what put Duke University on the map. And it was something like 97% cure rate, something like that. And the only reason it wasn't 100% is because people just wouldn't do it. And so it lowered his rate from 100% down to 97%. Now, I know he was very German. And some of his ways of living, I really appreciate, because people who wouldn't comply, he just gave them the boot. This is no pat you on the back, give you a gold star. Oh, you tried your best. He just, if you didn't do it, there's the door. Peace. And I like that way of doing things. I think that's a much better way of life. But anyways, I think that's about it. There's no real reason to go back to this video, but I will link the video down below that I just watched. It's just, some of the information out there is just so ridiculous. If they just, this woman studied this for whatever, 10 years of genetics or whatever. I didn't need to do that to find this information, you know? And so why did she need 10 years to find information that I've found just in the last couple minutes? I don't know. But, you know, this is not a hate video. This is just like, you know, what is going on with this kind of video. Anyways, I think I'm going to close it out. I could go on and on and on, and I'm sure that the hater crew is going to be down in the comment section, you know, whatever, if saying whatever they're going to say. But the bottom line, or saying I'm picking certain studies and ignoring others. Meanwhile, they'll send me a study that they're handpicking out and ignoring the ones that I'm putting up here. So it does make a lot of sense to somebody, I'm sure, but not to me. And so I just don't really pay attention to it. So here is like study after study after study. If you really need your studies, I would prefer just to be my own. I find it better that way, other than stabbing some rat or a mouse or something like that with a needle. You know, and seeing how they react to things, because it hasn't always been relevant. But a lot of these other studies have been done on humans, and the pound a day was actually done on, I think it was like 25 males or something like that, that were relatively younger. So it worked, and it's crazy to me how this information is out there, and just nobody's paying attention. Anyway, I'm gonna call it a day here. I'm going to just call it a video here. That's about it. Anyway. All right. So hopefully this video did you some good. Hopefully I gave you some good information. This video actually went a little different than I thought it was going to. I thought it was going to be another one of these keto warriors, which I was pleasantly surprised. It wasn't a keto warrior, but some of her information almost sounded keto-like. To me, you know, there's a lot missing from this information. Hopefully the information that I give you down below that you can go read at your leisure ties the gap here. And maybe she does tie her own gap. Sounds strange, but hopefully she does tie her own gap in the rest of the video. So I'm going to link that down below. I have, I just couldn't watch the whole thing. So anyway, hopefully you got some good information out of this video. If you did, share the video, like, subscribe, comments, questions down below like always, and I'll talk to you in the next one.